Good morning. I will now adjourn the regular meeting of the Board of Lane County Commissioners. Today is Tuesday, August 27th. Good morning to folks joining us here in person and anyone watching online. We have a relatively light morning schedule, pardon me, today because we have some executive session business for the duration of this morning and we have no afternoon session. And we do, those executive sessions are 10 a.m. time certains, but we should be just fine meeting that. So with that, I will ask if there are any adjustments to the agenda this morning. None from the board. Administrator, no. Any emergency business? Seeing none. We will move into public comment. Tanya, we have no one signed up in Harris Hall. Can you please let me know if there's anyone in the online queue wishing to give comment this morning?
Let me check. If you are online attending virtually for the August 27th Board of County Commissioners meeting and would like to give public comment, please raise your virtual hand. I do not see any virtual hands raised, so I will return it to you, Chair.
Thank you so much. And I meant to say we are convening, not adjourning this morning's meeting. Thank you for that. And we will move right in then to any commissioners' remonstrance or issues they'd like to raise this morning. Looking to the board. Commissioner Farr.
I have some bad news, Chair, and some good news. The bad news is that most of the berries are gone. But the good news is the farmer's market is open. They have some berries and lots of other produce, so please visit today.
Great, thank you. Any other remonstrance or announcements from the board? No, I will just make a note. I actually wasn't prepared, so I don't have prepared remarks, but I do just want to note the passing of a true Eugene area icon and legend and leader, Miss Lily Reynolds Parker, who passed just a few days ago. And I'm sure there will be lots of opportunities to honor her in the community, but she was an incredible leader and open heart, particularly for folks in the Black community and particularly for young folks coming up. And I just know that there are many in the community who are really, really hurting. And it was one of those not unexpected, but still very sad occasions to hear of her passing. So all our best to her and her family and the community in general who are feeling that loss. With that, we have before us, as usual, a consent calendar. These are all items considered to be routine by the Board of County Commissioners. They'll be enacted in a single motion with no discussion of separate items. If anyone had wished to discuss an item, it would have been pulled from consent calendar to be considered separately. So with that, I will look for a motion.
I'll move approval of the consent calendar for today.
Thank you. Commissioner Buck, is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Buck, seconded by Commissioner Senega, and I will note we are 4 commissioners today. Commissioner Lovall is absent, excused for the day. And so with that, I'll ask for a vote on the consent calendar. All those in favor signify with an aye. Aye. Motion carries 4-0 with Commissioner Lovall absent, excused. We have with us our assessor, Mary Vuksich-Schaefer, this morning, here to present to us in the matter of increasing and amending fees for services for assessment and taxation, which would be effective September 1st of this year, and an order associated with it, 24-08-27-05. So welcome to the assessor. Good morning. It's good to have you here. I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Chair. Let me just organize myself. Thank you. Today, I'm here to talk about the matter of increasing and amending fees for services for assessment and taxation. The purpose of assessment and taxation is to appraise property, to calculate, collect, and distribute taxes, and to provide related information to the public in a manner that merits the highest degree of confidence in our integrity, efficiency, and fairness. We are a broad service organization mandated by the Oregon Constitution and Oregon law and collect revenue for 85 taxing jurisdictions, including local governments, schools, and special districts that provide the essential public services for the citizens of Lane County. From a 10,000-foot view, the scope of our work is best measured by our numbers. For the 23-24 tax year, the certified amounts are as follows. We certified a real market value of $97.8 billion, a taxable value of $41.1 billion. We certified $695.8 million in certified taxes. $51 million of that was earmarked for the Lane County General Fund. In the 23-24 tax year, assessment and taxation fielded nearly 13,000 phone calls, assisted over 6,500 customers at the public information and payment counters, created 700 new tax lots from subdivisions and partition plats, processed 120 lot line adjustments, inspected over 5,000 properties, and processed over 161,000 payments. In November of 2023 alone, we collected and distributed over $631 million to the districts. Historically, 86 to 90% of the revenue to be posted is between certification, which is in early October, and the end of November. We also supported the administration and creation of 2 new taxing districts, Row River Rural Fire Protection District and Pleasant Hill Goshen. One overarching goal of assessment and taxation is to maintain accurate ownership records. In the 23-24 tax year, we processed ownership changes from recorded deeds on nearly 14,000 tax accounts. So, I'm here today to talk about fees. And I thought I'd give a brief description and definition of what a property tax exemption is. A property tax exemption is a legislatively approved program that relieves qualified individuals or organizations from all or part of their property taxes. Exemptions can be either full or partial, depending on the program requirements and the extent to which the property is used in a qualifying manner. Most exemptions granted to non-governmental entities are granted to religious, fraternal, literary, or charitable organizations. The exempt property must be reasonably necessary and used in a way to achieve the organization's purpose. Any portion of the property that does not meet the requirements of the exemption program is taxable. Assessment and Taxation administers over 120 exemption and special assessment programs on behalf of the Oregon Department of Revenue. For the 23-24 tax year, 938 applications for the various property tax exemption and special assessment programs were processed. In 2023, Lane County had 13,420 accounts with exemptions. That's a total taxable value of $1.2 billion. We also had 17,479 accounts with special assessments. That taxable value is just over $2 billion. So why am I here today? The administration of application processing involves expenses that have been rising due to various factors. Increased administrative workload, the volume and complexity of tax exemption programs has grown, requiring more staff time with a higher level of expertise. Technological maintenance, maintaining our technology systems to meet the ever-increasing unfunded mandates set forth by statutes, administrative rules, and the Department of Revenue. Regulatory changes, adapting to new statutes and administrative rules to ensure compliance involves additional resources and expertise. And lastly, and probably most importantly, is fewer full-time employees. A&T's primary source of funding is a county general fund and a shrinking grant from the Oregon Department of Revenue. A study conducted by the Department of Revenue recommended staffing levels for a county the size of Lane with approximately 190,000 tax accounts was 74 full-time employees. For fiscal year 24-25, A&T's approved budget included 48 full-time employees, a reduction of 1 from the previous year. We are asked to do more with less. So, to address these challenges, the amended and new fees will allow A&T to recover a portion of the costs associated with providing the related services. The increases will help cover staffing costs for training and to manage workloads, and compliance and monitoring. Resources dedicated to ongoing audits, exemption program evaluations, and ensuring adherence to evolving mandates. Lane County services over 30,000 accounts with exemptions or special assessments. Oversight on accounts and existing programs is paramount to maintaining fair and equitable values. So the fee increase is designed to be proportional to the services provided and will support accuracy, efficiency, and productivity. The request for amended and increased fees aligns with the Lane County Strategic Plan by ensuring that the taxing districts, including Lane County, the Sheriff's Office, cities, parks, schools, fire, and water districts all receive the property tax revenue that they are due as an ongoing element of the strategic plan. So with the current application fees, the revenue generated in the 22-23 fiscal year was $12,200 and $12,000 for the following 23-24 fiscal year. Under the proposed fee structure, using the actual number of applications that were processed in those two preceding years, the revenue that would have generated would have been roughly $112,000. To ensure the continued effective management and oversight of our property tax records, a fee amendment and increase is being proposed. These adjustments are necessary to cover the rising costs associated with administering these programs, including staff resources and compliance monitoring. This proposed fee increase excludes the following applications and services: disabled veterans, surviving spouse of a veteran, surviving spouse of a public safety officer, active military duty, property tax deferral for disabled and senior homeowners, assistance with title transfers on manufactured structures, and request to make an account confidential, which applies to public safety officers or a person with a restraining order. So we have 36 counties in Oregon, and when you look at the different ways to administer the Oregon property tax system, there's 36 different ways to do it. And the same can be said for the fees charged by counties. So what we did is we looked at all the counties, and it became clear that the counties with a permanent rate between $1.08 and $2.58 had the most fees. So some of the larger counties with higher permanent rates had less or lower fees for service. The one constant is fees mandated by statute. If there's an actual amount, that was consistent among all the counties. So some counties have fees for re-inspecting a property or changing a mailing address. At Lane County, we are not proposing fees for those particular services. So not all the fees are comparable. There's some things that we are not recommending fee for service for. We think inspecting a property, the tax is the fee itself, if you will. And we also feel that keeping our records up to date and making sure taxpayers get their property tax statement is part of the process. So we don't charge for updating mailing address, ownership records, things like that. So in conclusion, over 30,000 accounts in Lane County have property tax exemption or special assessments for a taxable value just over $3.2 billion. The fee changes are justified in covering a small portion of the administrative costs for these services. Questions?
Thank you.
Yes.
To the board. Commissioner Buck.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair. Question on the increase in fees that this would generate, would this be able to bring back the one FTE that we weren't able to put in this year's budget?
Thank you, Commissioner. That's a good question, and unfortunately, no. But because that $112,000 is over 2 years.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Gonna be enough.
However, what we're hoping to do is to backfill with some licenses to different resources that our appraisers use to value properties. What this would look like is we buy licenses to have access to sales information for commercial properties. So with our budget, we had to eliminate a couple of those licenses. And if these fee increases are proposed and accepted, excuse me, not proposed, that's what I'm doing. If they're accepted, then we'll be able to backfill and maintain some of those licenses. That's an example of some of the things we could recuperate. Yeah.
Other questions or comments from the board for our assessor before I look for a motion? Commissioner Seniga, did you want to say something?
Yeah, just a little bit of clarification. So what will be the main fee, what will the main fee users, I guess, if you will, what will generate this fee, I guess? I'm a little bit confused on.
Oh, thank you. That's a good question, Commissioner. It's the application fees. So because we administer over 120 different exemption programs, the applications themselves for one particular program is not the same as the next. So there's 120 different variations of programs that we administer. So our level of expertise has to meet, and we have to understand all the criteria involved in each different exemption program of those 120 programs. So the fees really cover that cost and that expertise. The fees would also cover more training with the Department of Revenue. Those trainings are not free to us. Yeah.
Got it, okay. Yeah, that's great. I don't know if you can even quantify this, but on an average application, how much staff time is involved in something like that?
That's a great question, Commissioner, and it depends on the type of application. I'm going to just look at my notes. We have for the Affordable Housing Covenant restricted, the land is exempted, the dwellings are not. So what this means is, however, unless it's a condo, then the condo is 27% exempt. So what we have to do in this case is create improvement-only accounts for all the single-family dwellings that are built on this land. The land is exempted, so we have to break out the value for each single-family dwelling. This one-time fee is not on each dwelling that is built. It is on the entirety of the project. So if you look at it that way, it's really a minimal amount that we are requesting. That program is one program, and then we, go out and value each of those single-family dwellings, and, build that account. Does that answer your question?
Yes, we're getting there.
We're getting there, yes.
It's very complicated.
It's very complicated. For a charitable organization that has applied year over year, that's an easier administrative lift for us because the organization understands what they need to include with their application, right? They have their, everything with their bylaws. If it's a public entity that is exempt and they're leasing to a taxable entity, well, that includes the lease information and the square footage of the space that they're going to rent or lease so that we can break out that value from the exempt entity and make that taxable and create a new account for that. So it really varies, but the level of expertise is, we're not just pushing paper. Right? We're working with organizations, we're working with developers, we're working with buyers of property to really help educate them, and I should say municipalities, so that they understand the programs that they are considering adopting or not.
And just to follow up, clarify, and then Commissioner Farr, and on the chart that you shared with us, these are mostly one-time fees. A couple of one I see says it's an annual filing fee, but.
That's correct.
So in the scope of the entirety of a project, you amateurize out a $200 fee. That's what we're talking about.
That's correct.
Thank you. Commissioner Farr.
Thank you, Chair. And just to mention that I enjoy working with you on the Finance and Audit Committee, where the committee you
yes.
chair.
Absolutely.
And you bring a great deal of information to that committee, which we bring to the subsequently to the Board of Commissioners. But my question for you, a couple of quick questions. Regarding the question that Commissioner Senega had regarding you create an account for each dwelling, for each upgrade. That's not just in the city or outside of the city. That's for every account, every dwelling in the county, from Cedar Head to the top of the Three Sisters, every single one.
That's correct.
And the other statistic that you gave is $631 million a year distributed to the taxing districts, or to the districts throughout the county. How much do they pay your office for that?
They don't pay an administrative fee at all.
You're kidding. So your office absorbs the fee out of your ever-decreasing general fund contribution, and your ever-decreasing staffing levels, absorbing all of the taxing workload for the entire county, and then you bring it in, and then you write them a check and send it to them. Can I get on that plan? That is it's something that people don't really fully understand about your office.
Right.
And about taxation.
Yeah.
I think that that everything comes to the county, and that you're the holder of the treasury, but you are merely the distributor, the passer along.
Right. Yes, we thank you, Commissioner. We value property. We appraise, value, collect, and distribute, and we do it on behalf of the 85 taxing districts that we serve. And the only district that pays for our services is the county.
And how much of that 100% do we get, the county? I know the answer, but
Well, it depends on the year, but generally between 11 and 12 cents a dollar.
yeah, about a dime on the dollar.
Yeah.
A little over a dime on the dollar is what we get at Lane County. Everybody else gets it. That's just a part of the service that Lane County provides.
That's correct.
And they expect, and we provide it. But that's something that people don't fully grasp is, when write a check to Lane County, my check is written to Lane County. Well, look at all that money I'm giving Lane County, but 90% of that, close to 90%, is going to school districts, fire districts, cities, et cetera.
Correct.
And that's right. That is the way it should be. I'm not faulting that, but it's something that people don't fully understand. And you also absorb changes that come from above. For instance, I was on the school board back in the early 1990s when Measure 5 was passed. What an incredible impact that had on taxation at the county level. And you absorbed it a little before your time. Then later, when I was first on the Eugene City Council, we had Measure 47 and Measure 50, which once again punched your department in the face. Things come to you that you just handle. You pass along, and you don't pass a bill along with it. Something that people don't fully understand, Mr. Mokrajewski. I know it's a part of the life that you live. And last year, you lost an FTE.
Yeah. Thank you for bringing up Measure 5. I don't know if anyone has ever thanked you for bringing up Measure 5. I was a little girl when Measure 5 passed, and I lived out River Road with my parents, and my mom was a teacher at the time. And I remember my dad voted in favor of, sorry, Dad, of Measure 5, and he has since regretted that vote. And my mom sent me outside because my parents were going to have a conversation about why he voted for that. So here we are all these years later, and I think about that story, and I think, oh boy, here I am talking about Measure 5 still.
And most people, Commissioner Senega is on a today's school board, and that's just a distant echo in the past of the way we used to fund schools in this state, which was a pretty highly localized. And we could make determinations as to how we fund schools. And this is not really a part of today's discussion, but it is a part of your work. And people, I would like for people to really more fully understand the breadth and depth of the work that our county assessment offices do. And thank you for that work. Thank you for being cheerful about it.
Yeah.
Thanks for today's wonderful presentation.
Absolutely. Well, we deal with, with people's homes and their money, and we take that very seriously. So.
As do they.
Yes.
Thank you.
Commissioner Farr brings up something I wanted to ask you. I should know the answer to this, and I don't, or I did once and forgot. Do other counties charge a fee to their sub-districts, an administrative fee?
No.
Is that a statute?
Yes.
Matter of state statute that we cannot? Thank you. I'll just remark 13,000 calls and 1,600 visits, as I often like to say and remind people, we're a service provider as a county. You're doing a lot of customer service, and a lot of those people are not necessarily in the best mood when they come to your office or with the answer that you give them. So I'll just echo Commissioner Farr's comments about thank you for doing the work and thank you for being such a good explainer of the work and walking people through why things are the way they are.
And if I may, Chair Trigger, you bring up a point. Every single household in Lane County is affected by the outward-facing taxation. No other service that we provide has that direct impact on virtually every household in the county.
Without any other comments or questions from the board, anything else from our assessor before I ask for a motion?
No, thank you for letting me present to you today.
Commissioner Buck.
I'll move approval of Order 24-08-27-05 in the matter of increasing and amending fees for services for assessment and taxation effective September 1st, 2024.
I have an 04 on my agenda, Commissioner Buck. Looking at different documents. Look at, oh, you're right, it says 05 on the order itself, so let's go with that. The agenda says 04. Is there a second?
It's a little awkward because we're the rest of the Finance and Audit Committee. I will second that.
Thank you. It's been moved by Commissioner Buck and seconded by Commissioner Farr. Any discussion to the motion? Seeing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor signify with an aye. Aye. Motion carries 4-0 with Commissioner Lovall absent excused. And Tanya, just noting the published agenda, order ends in 04, but the published order itself ends in 05, so I'll call that a vote approving Order 24-08-27-05 in the matter of approving 4 public works contracts and amendments. Oh, excuse me, no wonder. It's because I'm looking at the wrong thing. Hello, starting over. Order 24-08-27-05 in the matter of increasing and amending fees for services for assessment and taxation effective September 1st, 2024. Thank you so much to our assessor again for being with us, and forgive me for my misread of agenda items. All right. That moves us into an item from county administration. If we have any announcements from our administrator this morning.
A couple brief updates. I'll just note that there was, Commissioner may be aware that there's a challenge filed related to the one of the charter amendments that was submitted to elections. That was then precluding the ability for us to have a measure number for individuals that would want to submit arguments for and against that measure. It's my understanding as of yesterday afternoon, the individual that filed that challenge removed the challenge so that a measure number could be assigned and individuals could submit statements for and against. So just to share with the board, the measure number is 20-362. This is the charter amendment related to the redistricting process. So 20-362, and it's my understanding that individuals have until noon today to submit arguments for and against. So wanted to provide that update. Also a brief update for you that we have conducted and we'll have an update for the board that we'll bring at a later date for you, but as you all are aware, we conducted a request for proposals for consultants to do a long-term visioning process at the Lane Event Center. I believe we received 8 proposals. We had a team of folks, internal and external, including members of the Fair Board, that reviewed those proposals and made a recommendation to select one of those. So we'll have that discussion with you, but I just want to share with the board that we are moving forward with. We've not yet executed a contract with one of those firms, but we are going to move in that direction. I think that is, that's everything. We are doing interviews. We have final interviews for intergovernmental relations manager position. So we've been recruiting for that position over the course of the last several months, and we have the individuals that are in the finalist pool, meeting with various folks across the organization. And we have also executed a contract with an outside lobbying firm to assist us in the pre-session work as well as the work during the 2025 legislative session to assist, if we're successful in onboarding a new person to this role, they're going to be very new in this role, and so we'll have this firm assisting us. It's the same individual that works with Deschutes County and comes highly recommended. So we'll bring that forward and discuss that with the board at a future date as well. So just a few brief updates there. Happy to answer any questions if you have them.
Just a few, but some pretty solid ones. That's
Yeah.
great. Any comments, questions from the board? Seeing none, we will move on to item 8, Commissioners' Business. Are there any announcements from commissioners this morning? Commissioner Buck.
I'll just share that this week, actually this last week, since our last meeting, I had the opportunity to tour the ice rink in the middle of its renovation. And if you haven't had a chance to do that, it's a lot of fun. I can definitely tell they've been doing so much work there. And it's coming along very quickly. It seems like they'll have the main rink up pretty darn soon, like the beginning of September, and get people back in the building. But it's been pretty big renovations, and the improvements are going to be fantastic, even with a separate little ice rink area for younger kids and those that are in wheelchairs that play, because sometimes the ramping down to the main rink is not very accessible. And maybe you can have birthday parties there, which is going to be great. I know my kiddo will love that, and as many others in our community. So I'm looking forward to coming back after the renovations are done and seeing the before and after.
Commissioner Farr.
Thank you, Chair Trigger. And just very quickly, 12 years ago, we had a flip of the coin as to whether or not to shut that down completely before Mr. Mokraski came on board. Renewed energy, renewed vigor, and you're right. I mean, it's the place where everybody should visit. And once we get activities in there, if you've never been to an activity in an ice arena, hockey matches, et cetera, wow, there's nothing like it. But I wanted to mention that later on today, out in Bethel, we are going to be opening Cascade Middle School. Cascade was the oldest school in Bethel. We tore it down over the course of the last year, rebuilt it due to support by the voters in the Bethel School District. Our oldest son, 24 years ago, went to Cascade Middle School, and it was very old then. Well, today it's brand new. And this coming year, starting next week, kids will be attending Cascade, a brand new, beautiful Cascade Middle School.
And I will just round us out by noting that after today's meeting, we will be down for the next 2 weeks. And the reason for being down next week is that it's Labor Day. So just a shout out and appreciation to workers of all stripes, public and private sector everywhere, who do what they do every day. It's a great day to celebrate the efforts of our workforce in communities across the country. With that, are there any future board assignment requests from commissioners for our administrator this morning? Seeing none. No assignments to review. So with that, we've come to the end of our regular business. As I mentioned, we do have executive session, so I'm going to read us in for that now. The Board of County Commissioners will now meet in 2 executive sessions. This is Tuesday, August 27th, 2024. The first session is to consult with counsel regarding the legal rights and duties of a public body with regard to current litigation or litigation likely to be filed. The second session is to conduct deliberations with persons designated by the governing body to carry on labor negotiations. These executive sessions are held pursuant to ORS 192.6602H and ORS 192.6602D, which allows the Board of Commissioners to meet in executive session for the purposes listed. Representatives of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are precluded from attending. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report on any of the deliberations during the executive session, except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. Members of the news media are not allowed to tape, video record, or otherwise record an executive session. Verbatim notes are prohibited. No decisions will be made in executive session. We do reserve the right to come back out into public session after these executive sessions. And with that, at the sound of my gavel, we'll be in recess, and we will reconvene in the conference room at 10 a.m. for these executive sessions. Thank you.